Shut up and sit down.
It is top 5 list time, J.A. I feel a little guilty doing a top 5 list of Badger basketball players in a Phoenix shirt, but hopefully Coach Ryan can overlook this when he watches the episode back. Yeah, he'll get it. But listen, Badger basketball has been a part of both of our lives. You were there when it was the Final Four, and we unfortunately lost the championship against Duke.
I was
there, right? And it was, you tell the story that it was dead after that down in the streets, but I grew up about 35 minutes away from Madison. So Badger basketball, especially when I was in high school, 97-01, was really up and coming. Dick Bennett in the Final Four in 2000. And then, of course, everything that's happened in the Bo Ryan era. I thought it would be fun to pick our top 5 best Badger basketball players. Now, we're going to do it again, and I already know where this is going. Joe Thomas is probably going to have a comment or two about this list, but I want to know your top 5 pre-Bo Ryan, and then I'm going to go top 5 from the Bo Ryan era forward.
So you said top 5 Wisconsin players, so I might have gone Wisconsin system.
Oh, did you?
We have UW-Madison. One little nod. So anyway, here we go. So number 5 is Gene England. And I kind of had to look him up. I'm like, I know they had one great player that was really the lead dog on the team that won the national championship in 1941. Right there, they are. They win this, and great. That was 8. That's back when the tournament was 8 teams, and like you had to have money to get there, and it was not the representative field it is today. But
we only have one.
Badgers do have a national championship, 1941, and the best player on that team was Gene England, and they beat Wazoo. Awesome. So he's at 5 because I don't know a ton about him. What I would tell you is what I've read in a book, and with the internet, people can read that in a book, but we don't want to leave them out. Number 4, as has been shown on this school, is a coupled entry because how do I do Andy Kowski without Mike Kelly? Okay, so they were both great players, in addition to guys that were fine representatives of the shoebox in Black Earth, Wisconsin, wherever it was. So as you know, those guys are on my list. I can't leave them off. Number 3 is where I kind of go, wait, are we doing UW-Madison or UW? So I'm just going to expand a little to the UW system, and I'm going to bring in Terry Porter, who was great for Dick Bennett at Stevens Point and was a point guard on a team that went to the NBA Finals for Portland and was an all-star, and then came back and coached for the Bucks and in college at Portland. Yeah. So we love Terry Porter, and I'm going to couple him with Tony Bennett at UWGB. There were great players. There were great players at UWGB, but he is the best player that's ever played there, hands down, bar none.
There are very few jerseys up in the rafters. Tony Bennett's is one of them up in the rush.
Plus, he's the guy that sort of got me. People at home finally realized that that guy in ESPN that says John Anderson, because everybody knows John Anderson. Everybody knows a John Anderson, right? It's a common name. If we had a convention, 9,000 people would show up. And Tony Bennett makes this shot in the Horizon, I think it was, tournament, MAC tournament, whatever it was, mid-con, and he just makes one. It's part of him scoring 30 that night or whatever. And I say on ESPN, he made a shot roughly from the same place that I received my high school diploma, because they were back to the old Veterans Arena.
Yeah, the Brown County Arena.
And so then a guy from the Press Gazette reached out and he goes, "Wait a minute, are you from Green Bay?" I had no idea. I'm like, there you go. Because I'm not the Tom Paul or Anderson that played at UWG. But so anyway, so that's how the first person anybody realized that I was from Green Bay, Wisconsin. They just thought, well, everybody knows John Anderson. How's that guy from our place? Number 2, and I know his name will come up with these guys, is Wes Matthews. And he played in the late 70s and was a great point guard. He's actually from here in Connecticut. I went out there and played for Bill Cofield. Along with a guy named Claude Stretch Gregory. Like, you're a kid. Who didn't love Stretch Gregory? And Stretch had a long time. He played for the Lacrosse Catbirds in the CBA for many years. But Wes was he was a number 1 draft pick by the Lakers and was on a couple of Lakers teams. And then he ran into, as a lot of people did in the 80s NBA, with some drug issues, and has fought through that and is clean. And obviously, you know Wes Matthews because there's a Wes Matthews that played at Marquette and in the NBA now. That's his son. So I'm in on the original Wes Matthews, who was just a great, great point guard. And then the number one all-time player, I think, without question, is Michael Finley.
Has to be.
Is he still the school's all-time leading scorer? Got to be close if he's not.
I think Alondo Tucker is now.
But and was a great pro for a ton of years. Was on the Suns when I first got there. You know, there was Michael Finley. Played with Dallas. Played on a championship team with the Spurs. I think he's still now in their front office, doing great. But was just a phenomenal. He was, as much as I remember somebody like Wes Matthews being a great player. But again, you didn't see them very often. You know, they weren't on TV like you get everybody now.
Right.
So he was a great player, and you saw him a lot. And again, the ascension was coming. Boy, it's hard to beat Finns for an all-time great Badger. That's another one where I would fight with people if they want to come at me and say there was somebody better than Michael Finley.
Michael Finley happened to be at the Easttown Mall in Madison when I was there on a field trip back in my younger years. Man, that was one of those moments where you're a little kid and you're watching. He was unbelievable. Right. And, of course, you chase those guys down.
All right, so here we go. Ready? I'm throwing it. It's in your wheelhouse. Go ahead. Swing hard.
Top 5 list from Bo Ryan's era, which was 2001. And obviously that was right after they had the Final Four in 2000 until the 2015 season. So number 5 for me, we mentioned him already. He was on staff here most recently. It was kind of fun to watch him jaw jack a little bit with the players back and forth.
Right.
Alondo Tucker.
Oh, Alondo Tucker. Okay, sorry.
Joe Thomas. Wrong number 5.
Okay.
Moving on. Alondo Tucker, really, really good. I believe, indeed, he is the all-time leading scorer for Wisconsin.
Okay.
Number 4, I'm throwing a bone towards the big guy from 01 to 05. Remember Big Mike Wilkinson?
I remember guys like Lure and Steamsma a bit more. But, yeah, okay. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just going to say, okay, Trevor, that's an excellent choice at number 4.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It'll save us some graphic work, too, because usually when you throw something and they throw something up there. Right. Big Mike Wilkinson, number 4. Number 3, I know you know him personally. He still plays professionally overseas. Sam Decker from Sheboygan Lutheran fame. Listen, watching him and another guy who's coming later on the list just do what they did in 14, and I believe it was 13, 14, 14, 15, the Final Fours, beating Kentucky, losing the national championship. Did you talk to Sam after that happened that year?
No, but I would tell you this: when they won the semifinal, we were going through, and the Badgers were there. They'd beaten, Kentucky, right? So they're all going crazy behind us. And I had on my cell phone the jump around, and so we piped it through out. And usually there's all kinds of music fees, you know that, right? There's rights fees and royalties you got to pay. And luckily our producer at the time said, who cares? And so we just piped it through, and the people went crazy, and we came back from break and they were doing it. We had the music. Yeah, it was great fun.
All off of your phone.
I digress.
There in Indy. That's awesome. Here's my number 2. Happened to play with Big Mike Wilkinson back in the early 2000s, Devin Harris. The guy was a machine for Wisconsin. He went on to have a really good NBA career, did he not?
Yeah, not quite. Like, I think he was a top 5 pick, right? Might have been 3. So, okay, here, the reason I'm pursing my lips is because I'm like, okay, who are you going to find better than him? Because I might have had him as number 1.
I was going to say, you have an opinion. I saw it in your face. Here's my number 1.
I was thinking he might have been number 1. So now I am really curious.
Frank Kaminsky.
Love Frank the Tank.
Dominated. I mean, Frank Kaminsky, Sam Decker dominated when they were playing. With Frank Kaminsky could do something rare for a big guy, and it was shoot and dominate the paint at the same time. There was a lot of games where Frank Kaminsky hit major threes and dominated the paint.
He had kind of that Nowitzki Euro style game.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure I wouldn't flip 1 and 2.
Fair.
That's all I'm saying. Here,
if that's the worst that comes of this top 5 list, is that you're just going to flip my 1 and 2, I will take that and run to the hills.
So it's not always fair, right? Like, you can fit your argument to win the argument. So I would say, listen, if I was going to start a team, would you take Frank Kaminsky or take Devin Harris? I'm going to take Devin Harris.
See, I take Frank Kaminsky.
Does that make him the best player ever? I don't know. It depends what you want. So,
Sure, since Michael Finley, anyway, the number 1
and actually
for me.
What I do is I'd pick Michael Finley, so I'm going to win, but that's okay. But it's like my parents tell me, Trevor, it's your list, okay?
Oh, thanks.
So it's okay.
Tell that to Joe Thomas.
Well, that's because you were just egregiously wrong, and sometimes we have to parent. All right. Sometimes we just have to let you know when you've screwed up. I don't know if I'm more disgusted that I have to agree with you on most of this, or that you might have 1 and 2 incorrect.
And I won't step on your lawn, I promise. Let's get back to the coaches.
Shut up and sit down.